Today is Friday, the 5th of June 2026, and it is a pleasant morning. A warm welcome to your program, Good Morning Sierra Leone, the program that always starts your day. I am Sheku Smiler. Our quote of the day is from Spanish philosopher George Santayana, and it says, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." I just go over the quote once again, and it is from our Spanish philosopher George Santayana, and it says, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Coming up in this edition of our program, Good Morning Sierra Leone, Defense for Children International Sierra Leone holds intergenerational dialogue on access to justice for children with specific spotlight on girls. All People's Congress Party to conduct outstanding lower level elections in constituencies and wards where previous polls were petitioned due to disputes, petition and over elections challenges. And also in this edition of the program, Good Morning Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone Film Industry Labor and Marketing Guild to officially launch its 5-year strategic and development plan. All these are more lined up in this edition of the program, Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from a broadcasting house, New Englandville in Freetown. But then there is a breaking news. However, this is Good Morning Sierra Leone. I'm Sheku Smiler. And the program you are still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television and through our social media handles. Now, breaking news: Leone Star has got a new coach a day before the friendly encounter against Liberia. Well, our sports correspondent Abdul Kabir is here to tell us more. Abdul, Leone Star has got a new coach. That is the news. Details are to follow later. But then the news is Leone Star has got a new coach, and it is a foreign coach. What does this mean for the country?
Well, it means that they've been trying, and it means that they're on the right path in terms of helping to reinvigorate football. Because having a foreign coach now, at least our local coaches will be able to learn a thing or two from the foreign coach so that they will be better positioned to take over the team at some point. Because originally that was the idea according to the FA. They are bringing in a foreign coach so that our local coaches will be able to understand the foreign coach and learn from his expertise so that at the end of the day they will be able to take over the national team. We've got a handful of local coaches who are equal to the task in terms of coaching. They've got the credentials in terms of coaching top teams in the world, not just in Sierra Leone. But this is a moment the FA they've been craving for, and I could recall vividly when the Secretary General Mohammed Ben Zimbao told the media that they are going in for a foreign coach, and they have the provisions and what's not to ensure that they have something good at the end. So more or less, this is an opportunity for the.
But even though it is, the news is too new. You understand? The news is new.
Yeah.
Very, very new. But the thing is that how more. I know. What more do we know about this coach? I know details are to come later. But then, who is this guy?
Well, we are yet to get the name of the foreign coach. But what I know for sure that they've been able to assemble better heads in terms of getting this recruitment process. John Kista, who spearheaded the event, because he's the technical director, he spearheaded the entire process, going through the applications, together with the technical committee of the FA, so that they will arrive at something good. But there was a day I saw the guy who took Sierra Leone to the AFCON in 1996 with Japan Green. I saw him along the Aberdeen beach. We had fun, we had pictures. You know, I don't know, maybe or maybe not. I did see him around.
Well, Roger
Palm
Green.
Yeah.
You know, this name, you know, like coaches like Muller and others. But then Palm Green, this is a name that rings bell. You know, whenever it is mentioned, but we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But then, any idea about when the new coach will be unveiled?
Well, they will unveil the coach today. In a few hours from now, we'll have the announcements of the coach, and that will be made public. And the media, including SLBC, will be there as well to provide the needed coverage, so that Sierra Leoneans will have a better understanding of who the coach is and the profile of the coach.
But then if eventually Roger Palm Green is named as the new coach for our stars, our new stars, and you know, it's just based on facts, based on history, and he once made Sierra Leone proud. But then, how do you see him? Do you see him as a game changer, as somebody who will, because now as we speak, you know, football in Sierra Leone is in a form of quagmire, following the sacking of Coach Mohamed Kalon. What new blood or new spirit do you think Roger will, you know, inject into our national team if eventually he becomes or he is named as our new head coach?
Well, I think it will be a positive one, because you'll be guided by the local coaches around. The entire technical team will not be surrounded by foreign coaches. You will have a backroom staff of locally based coaches who are knowledgeable about the game, who understand the players, and I'm sure they'll be able to assist the head coach in terms of selecting players in the right positions or what's not. But I'm sure he will be definitely guided on the selection of players. For, you know, the time it took, say, 1996 to now, it's a long time, you know. So I'm sure if he's truly the one they will appoint later today, and he will be guided by the local coaches, because the technical team, the backroom staff, will also have Sierra coaches to provide the needed insight.
Okay, details are to come later, because as we know right now, you know, we don't know, well, we are just like a gossip in a way. A few days ago, you met with Roger, and you even took shots, snapshots, and he's the only foreigner probably you've seen so far, since the process of recruiting a new coach started. But then, let us wait and see. I know in few minutes we'll know who this new man is. Thank you so much. And he is Abdul Kabir. Abdul Kabir is our sports correspondent at the SLBC. We hope to hear more from you. And I know you are going to the venue.
Definitely, I'll be there too. You know, SLBC is always ready to go out and get the first-hand information. So our team will be there. We'll be there to ensure that we have the actual information, balanced information.
All right, okay, thank you so much, Abdul, and more to come. Well, as we, one of us, I know a lot of Sierra Leoneans are very much now getting impatient. They want to know who this new coach is. However, the program you are still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from my broadcasting house, New Englandville in Freetown. Now we come to the defense for children. As all of us know, our children are supposed to be properly taken care of. So when they grow older, they will contribute meaningfully to societal development. Now, Defense for Children International Sierra Leone held an intergenerational dialogue on access to justice for children with a special spotlight on girls. According to the Executive Director, Defense for Children International, Abdul Manaft Kemokai, over 60% of children face injustice in Sierra Leone. The dialogue focused on research conducted by the organization, which is improving and assessing access to justice for children in conflict with the law in the country. The dialogue brought together children and youths, legal officers from the Sierra Leone Police, a family support unit, child protection advocates, the media, influencers, and traditional leaders. A central part of the dialogue placed a spotlight on girls' experiences within the justice system and how children in conflict with the law often encounter additional challenges, including intimidation, stigmatization, limited access to gender-responsive support services, among others. The discussions were also focused on barriers children and young people face when interacting or when they come in conflict with the law and justice system. Well, Abdul Manaf Kemokai, the Executive Director of Defense for Children International, is here with me in the studio. Good morning and welcome to the program, Mr. Kemokai.
Good morning and thank you.
Okay, now, rights of children, with special, a focus on the girls. First of all, let us talk about the intergenerational summit or the meeting you had, where you discussed, among other things, your strategic plan. But then tell us, why this zeroing in, on girls specifically, when it comes to rights and legal representation?
Okay, thank you very much. So let me just start with giving a background to what the whole process is about. So we are conducting a research because the process is still ongoing. And the intergenerational dialogue that you are referring to is just one of the activities in the entire process. So this research we are conducting, we are doing in partnership with our partners in Glasgow, Scotland, and the program also, this research also is supported by the Institute of Inspiring Children's Rights within the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, Scotland, and supported by the Legal Empowerment Fund. So we are conducting this research to really explore the experiences that children and young people face with the justice system. We are looking at really both boys and girls, but with special spotlight on girls' experience, given the fact that girls are often missing, or hidden within the justice system, especially for children in conflict with the law. Because most often, when girls encounter the justice system, it is only from the perspective of our victims, but not always as children in conflict with the law. So we are exploring their experiences. We also want to understand their perception about justice because they are equal citizens. They also evolve, from being baby, toddlers, as well as children and people. How have they been evolving? How have they been interacting with the justice system? What are the barriers? And how can they also contribute? And because we understand that children and young people have a lot to contribute, we design the research in such a way that it could be co-conducted with adults. So this is a study that is conducted by both young people as well as the adults, in order to ensure that we can really have the true insight of young people, not only as respondents, but also as those who go out in search of the information. At the end of the day, we want them to own the process. We want them to ensure that whatever we'll be propagating in terms of findings, in terms of recommendations, they should also take the lead in disseminating, in doing advocacy, in also doing awareness raising, peer education, to ensure that even areas where you really need children also or young people to take responsibility, because we are not only talking about how they are affected, we also want to see them at the forefront in bringing about changes. So generally, this is what the research is really seeking. And as I said, we are narrowing down on girls' experience simply because most of the researches you see around, especially for children in conflict with law, they focus more on boys. And much have not been said about girls' experience simply because of numbers.
So even the research we have conducted, we noticed that only 4% of the total number of children that actually come in conflict with the law are girls. Most often, probably you go to remand home or approved school, you may not see any girl. You go around police stations, you will see few of them. But that notwithstanding, and of course, because of their number, most often people don't focus on them.
So people see the number is insignificant in a way.
That is why, but it is significant because justice is about individual. It's not about number.
You know what I'm saying?
This is what
I'm talking about the optics.
Yes.
You know, how people think.
Exactly.
You know, the perception.
Exactly.
That, okay, the number is insignificant. So
exactly. And
much attention is not paid.
And the danger about that, just like you're saying, because the number is small, even when transformations are taking place, they don't bring in gender responsive perspective, gender responsive interventions. So you go to a lot of the institutions, you don't see facilities that really respond to girls' needs in this. You go to remand home, for example, you go to approved school. If you go around police stations, there are certain police stations, for example, have separate detention facilities for children, but they are only used for boys. When girls come in, they keep them with the adult women as if adult women don't abuse girls. But this research has also revealed that these are all possibilities. Recruitment of girls even into commercial sex work also happen even within police cells where girls and adult women are also.
But then, what other aspects? I think it has become a national campaign now, spearheaded by no less a person than the First Lady. That is access to sanitary pads. You know, is the research you're doing or conducting, does it cover that particular aspect also? Because it is very important.
Yes, it covers everything.
Because as long as that in there, exactly, you know, their vulnerability,
yeah,
you know, increases in a way.
Yeah.
Yes. So do you also look at that?
Yeah, we looked at everything. Access to the basic needs. You talk about hygiene, sanitation, you know, access to water. You talk about even access to legal aid. You talk about even conditions of detention. You talk about trial proceedings and how long it takes for even trials to be concluded. We investigated how children are interrogated when they are arrested by the police. How long are they kept? So it covers almost everything, because I wouldn't say it's everything. Yes.
So now let us talk about you know, how many correctional facilities have you well, is the survey actually targeting every correctional facility in this country, or you've selected a few that you're using as a sample in a way, or you know, information?
Well, there's really no need to take any sample, because in the entire country, for children, there's only one correctional facility.
Okay.
And that is the approved school, which is located in Wellington. So children across this country, when they are convicted and given custodian sentence, they have to be brought to the approved school.
But there is also, Mr. Kimokai, but there is also a concern, and this has been a concern for a very long time, that minors are incarcerated in the same cells with, hardcore criminals, hardened criminals. I don't know if your findings have in any way identified that as one of the challenges, you know, for children, you know, in conflict with the law, delinquent children.
Yes, I'm happy that also as journalists you know about this, and I think a lot of people have spoken about this, but it is still the same thing. So you go around police stations across this country, you will still see children or young people being detained in the same police cells as adults. And you may have two categories of them. Those who are actually identified as children, which means even when they were interviewed, they were actually there. Records were taken about them as children. You also have those who are children, but because proper age verification procedures were not taken, they are given adult ages. You know, and these are all problems. And some of these children, will continue to be treated as adults, kept at adult facilities until probably when they are brought to the court and a legal aid lawyer maybe challenges the age.
But the thing is that now, Mr. Kiboka, you are talking about, police stations. I'm talking about, correctional facilities. I've seen minors, in prisons, before the transformation, from prisons to correction. But it has been happening, and information suggests that some of these things are still happening,
Yeah. So basically, we are saying the same thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go to any correctional facility directly. You come through the police.
Mm-hmm.
It is the police who send them there indirectly.
Yeah.
Indirectly in the sense, because police don't send them directly. They have to bring them to court. But if they have already been given adult ages, and after court proceedings, they have not put on bail, they have to be sent to an adult correctional center. And this is how you see them. So I was talking about the police because it starts from there.
Okay. Now, according to you, the study, the survey is yet to be concluded. I know, but even halfway, you must have known, trying to kind of, because those who go out, like for example, you said you are also making use of youths to go into communities to collect the data, trying to know how serious this particular thing is. Children in conflict, with the law, especially the girl child, the manner in which they are being treated. But then, what are some of the key things that actually come up in your daily or probably weekly or quarterly assessment of reports coming in so far?
Well, we have both positive and negative. I will start with the positive side. So, on the positive side, we noticed that in 2014, for example, the government developed a child justice strategy. And in developing that strategy, a baseline was conducted just to determine how long it takes the police to investigate children in conflict with the law, especially focusing on larceny, like stealing, how long it takes them to do this investigation. And this how long is being looked at simply because when these investigations are ongoing, most often these children are detained. So you want to know how long are children going through investigative detention. So the baseline was 15 days. And there was a target set that this one should be reduced to 9 days. Okay. So when we conducted this study, we noticed that for boys, it has actually reduced now to between 5 to 7 days, and for girls 2 to 4 days. So this is a reduction. However, we should not be complacent with this because this is still below international standard. Even our very local laws talking about 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you should be able to investigate, to interview, unless for very serious crimes like homicide, like if it's death-related, murder, for example. But for a case like larceny, within 24 hours, you should have been able to conclude the matter and take a decision whether this child has to be dismissed because you don't have enough evidence, or this child has to be prosecuted. So we are still below the very national as well as international standards, despite the fact that we have been able to reduce this considerably.
Well, have you engaged also the law enforcement officers and let's say, for example, those in the criminal justice system, because they are the ones directly, like for example, you mentioned the police. Before a child is taken to a correction center or taken to prison, he or she has to go through the police. The police are the ones who prosecute. But have you engaged, the criminal justice sector in this country on some of these things?
Yes, we have engaged them, and even in the dialogue that we had yesterday, we brought both adults who are actors from different institutions, both from the formal justice side, like the police, the judiciary, and so on. But we also have the traditional. We have traditional rulers. They were all in the same room with the youth who conducted the research also youths who have experienced the justice system, and others who are advocates who have also been following issues around the justice system and advocating. So and it was important that we were able to discuss some of the findings. As you said, we have not concluded, because what we discussed there and what came out are also going to be added. You know, they are also going to be added to what we already have, and update the research report before we finally launch it. So for example, when we are talking about even the length of investigation, detention, like one of the responses from, you know, an FSU officer was that a lot of these children, especially girls, come into contact with the law unaccompanied. And if your parents cannot be identified, they cannot be located, it will be difficult for even bail to be given to you or to be just released. You know, there are a lot of their own explanations in terms of constraints. But whatever the case is, there's really no justification when we are talking about violations against children's rights. And we are doing this study in order to expose all of this. It's not to embarrass anyone, but it's also to convey messages around even the constraints that the very law enforcement officials are also undergoing, so that government can increase their investment in all of this and ensure that at the end of the day, we are actually providing the best for children. Because the legal system is not meant for punishment. It is not meant to, you know, to increase violations that children face. It is not meant to take children out of their normal life. So for example, keeping them in detention for long means you are taking them out of school. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is for them to be rehabilitated, to be reformed, but even more importantly, to be empowered. Because legal system, or I mean, the justice system should also be empowering. When I come in contact with the law, I should learn a lot. I should be empowered to understand what I should do in society, to understand what is unlawful, and to understand what I should not do.
Okay, now, you know, Mr. Kimoke, let us talk about them. Like you said, when in prison or in correctional facility, when you move out of that prison, probably when you should have finished your jail term, you are expected to go back to society and contribute to society, you know, in a way. But then, I don't know, but then in some of these facilities, I mean, the remand home and even the approved school, I've not seen anything like, for example, skills training, I mean, educational facilities, skills, so that when you come out, you know, you fit into society. Because that is the reason for correction.
Exactly.
You know, so do you monitor all of those?
Yeah, we monitor all of these things you're talking about. And even in the dialogue yesterday, all of the heads of these detention or correctional facilities were also there, and we are talking about the same thing. They are also concerned that, for example, the remand home really has no skills training programs. Most often, these children are just locked up for the day. They are not going to court every day. You don't also even have facilities for psychosocial counseling, and even where they are provided, most often provided by NGOs based on their programs. We also do provide these interventions, but most often we do them more when we have the funding, when we have the staff. Because when you don't have the staff to do it, you will reduce your intervention. So this is why we are doing all of this research, to really ensure that we can have sustainable means of support for these interventions, for these programs. You go to approved school, yes, you have some skills training facilities there, but it's very minimal. It is not sufficient to really contribute to what we call actual rehabilitation. We don't also have enough post custodian programs, because even after the child would have left the approved school or remand home, it is really key that there should be follow-up programs in order to ensure that there is no recidivism. This child is not coming back into the system. Because a lot of these children come into the system because of their social backgrounds, because of their family backgrounds. So there are a lot that we need to do even after they may have left either the police cells or the approved school or remand home, as the case may be.
All right, okay, thank you so much. He is Abdul Manaf Kemukai, Executive Director, Defense for Children International, talking to us about a summit, a dialogue forum, an intergenerational dialogue, which means, children are there, adults, as the case may be. Thank you so much for your update this morning. And the program you are still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone, live from Broadcasting House, New Englandville in Freetown. Well, it's time now for us to talk about health, because it is really essential that we take care of ourselves. And in every edition of this program, we attempt at letting you know or advise on certain things that you must do or mustn't do to ensure that you remain healthy. Well, in today's health tips, we take a look at signs of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a serious mental health condition that can have severe effects on persons' physical and mental well-being. People move through stages of schizophrenia in 3 phases. Learn the symptoms of each phase in this video from Cleveland Clinic.
Schizophrenia is a severe mental health condition that can have serious effects on a person's physical and mental well-being. People with schizophrenia are disconnected from reality. They may experience hallucinations and delusions that cause enormous struggles in their day-to-day lives. People move through 3 stages of schizophrenia. Symptoms build up, worsen, and improve, and then the cycle can start all over again. Let's take a look at each of the 3 phases and how they affect someone living with schizophrenia. Phase 1, onset. Early signs of schizophrenia may look like other mental health conditions. They include feeling afraid, suspicious, or paranoid, withdrawing from family and friends, trouble focusing, or loss of motivation. Phase 2, active. Soon, schizophrenia takes full effect. In the second phase, known as the active phase, the person loses contact with reality. They may have delusions and believe things that aren't true. Some people have hallucinations, seeing or hearing things that aren't there. When they speak, their sentences may be jumbled or incoherent. They may have a lack of emotion or expression when they speak, and they may move erratically or not move at all. Antipsychotic medications often improve these symptoms. Phase 3, residual. In the 3rd stage of schizophrenia, they may seem recovered or improved. Their symptoms lessen, but they may still hold on to odd beliefs or show little enjoyment or pleasure. Without consistent treatment, improvements are usually temporary. Hallucinations and delusions may return, and the person can slide back into the active stage. Most people with schizophrenia are not able to recognize their condition. They often try to self-medicate with drugs and alcohol. If you believe a loved one is living with schizophrenia, encourage them.
You're back, and the program you are still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone. I hope you learned a lot from that particular health tips, because it is really essential that we keep ourselves healthy. And the program you are still watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone. Well, we still have here in the studios Mr. Kemukai. He is the Executive Director of Defense for Children International. Now, Mr. Kemukai, let us talk about Defense for Children International, because this name has been around for a while now. What has been your interventions? In the first place, give us a brief background to DCI.
Yeah, thank you. So, Defense for Children International, of course, it's a global children's rights movement. We have the International Secretariat in Geneva, and the organization is established in over 30 countries across the world. We have about 6 in Africa, so in Sierra Leone, Guinea, Ghana. We also have in DR Congo, Zambia, and so on. We have about 6 also in Europe. We also have in Latin America, and there are also a lot. We have also a lot in the Middle East, you know. So in every country where citizens really want to have Defense for Children International, they can come together, start interventions that concern children, and apply to the International Secretariat for recognition so that they can be allowed to use the name and the logo. So this is how Defense for Children International is really different. It is not like other international organizations where the headquarters anywhere in the world can come to a particular country. They say, hey, we want to establish an office here, a home office, and start interventions. They recruit their own staff, and all interventions will still connected directly to decisions at the headquarters. This is different. For Defense for Children International, it is actually like local organizations connected to an international movement. So we started our own organization in 1998, even though we gained much recognition in 1999. So we are over 25 years now. So and we have been doing quite a lot in actually promoting access to justice for children. That is really the area that we started with. So coming here to talk about research that we are conducting on how children are interacting with the justice system, the barriers and the challenges they face. It's not new. This has been what we have been doing since the establishment of this year. But however, along the line, because we realized that this should not be a standalone program, it is also connected to other issues. So for example, a lot of the children we have been encountering into the justice system have been having school problems. Either they are out of school or they're having challenges with school. So we brought in access to education, especially quality education, as part of the program. And we are working in about 31 rural schools in Bombali, Pujong, Kenema, and Bo districts, including schools that are providing education for children with disability. And what we do in these schools is really to improve learning outcomes, because we know that even for when government introduced the free quality education, there are a lot of interventions, including establishment of new schools, recruitment of teachers, introduction of school feeding programs. But what government has also realized is that in as much as there's a boom in access to education, I mean, the number of children coming into the educational system, but learning outcome is still minimal, especially in rural areas. This is simply because we still have a lot of teachers that are untrained and unqualified. The trained and qualified ones are more concentrated in the cities. You even have more teachers in Freetown, some not even attached to schools, but they run their private schools or lessons. Whereas in the provinces, especially beyond the provincial headquarters or district headquarters, going to the chiefdom, headquarters, and beyond that, you hardly see enough trained and qualified teachers. Sometimes in the entire school, it is only the head teachers, especially for primary school. So even government has now decided to ensure that they introduce a program called the Education Compact, which has really established a vision that government should now focus on what they call P4. P4 means focusing on class 1 to class 4 in order to really build educational foundation of children, because you can only learn if you have good foundation. And this is also some of the lessons we have learned in the justice system. When we take children out of the justice system, we support them to return to school. But those who succeed in going forward are those who have had strong background who can read and write. For those who never had any strong background, you take them back into school, they will not continue. So
But
this is also
you divert them to skills.
exactly. You divert them to skills.
Alternative, I mean, because the thing is,
Yeah.
you know, under normal circumstances, there are some children who cannot do well in school, but then they can make use of their psychomotor.
Yes.
You understand? So, having seen or realized that this particular child cannot do well in school, you divert, that energy into something else. Is that what you've been doing?
Yeah, yes, we have been doing that, and we are still doing that. But education, like what you're saying, not everybody has the ability or the acumen to end up with the higher level academic framework. Some people will definitely have to be diverted, but even in that you need foundation, because even if you are learning skills, at the end you want to market, you want to do marketing, you want to use social media, so you should be able to communicate. Definitely. So you may not end up in university, which we already know, and we already know that university education is not the only way out. But even if you are stopping at just JSS, or even if you stop at class 6, be able to read and write. And that is why we really want to ensure that in line with even government agenda of this P4, learning outcomes, focusing on strengthening teachers' competencies to really ensure that when children come to school, they can learn and they can be able to read.
Even though the purpose of you being here is to talk about, the children in conflict with the law, but then let us also talk about child trafficking.
Yeah.
And child trafficking takes various forms.
Exactly.
Somebody goes, somebody moves from here, goes to the provinces, tells the family, give me your child, when I bring that child to the city, I'm going to ensure he or she is educated, and all the rest of it. All of a sudden, you see that child, selling cold water in the streets. These are all violations, or abuses, as the case may be. But then, how do you champion some of these things? How do you, because it is like, it is a perennial problem. Exactly. And I know you alone cannot solve it, but then, what attempts have you made at trying to kind of address, or, advocacy, mounting advocacy against some of these things, or practices, as the case may be?
Yeah. So there are a lot of issues, and children's rights issues continue to escalate for as long as population is increasing, and it is not increasing with required resources that will really ensure that every family is okay and the children are okay. So I wish you can just decide to be children's journalist, because you seem to know a lot about what is happening around the lives of children. But indeed, child trafficking, like you said, is very common across Sierra Leone, and it is happening internally. A lot of people are going into the provinces, recruiting children, bringing them to Freetown and other cities to work for them. Either do trading, street trading for them, do home cares. There are a lot of things that they engage them in. And a lot of time, these children also end up having problems with these families, because if it is too much for them, they might even run away. And when they run away, where would you find them? In the streets. When girls get into the street, for example, what they may end up engaging themselves in is commercial sex work. Yeah. And some of the dangers, when there is police raid, they can be arrested. And it's unfortunate to also reveal here that we learn from this research that these girls are also sexually abused by police officers who are supposed to they extort money from them. They also abuse them, and this is something we have to continue to talk about, because we should not keep hiding this. So you see the continuum, how all of this happens, as you are explaining. We also have the cross-border trafficking. If you go to the Sahel countries, Mali, onto North Africa, you will have a lot of Africans, including Sierra Leonean, who have been trafficked simply because somebody has deceived them that they have to be taken to Europe through the Mediterranean Sea. So you see a lot of them, you know, even though IOM, for example, and others have been trying to bring them back, but you see that the circle still continues. So as you rightly said, this is also a big problem, but of course we are doing a lot of interventions as well, but these interventions normally can only help those who are lucky, I would say, because they are not sufficient to really cater for everybody. So for example, if you go to the main borders, Pamalap, Balamuya border in Kambia district, or you go to Jendema, Bo, Waterside border, we have been working with the law enforcement officials, providing training, and also working on SOPs to ensure that there are measures in place to identify victims, return them, or you know, connect them with services that will ensure that they are not trafficked. However, these are just two border areas I'm talking about. There are crossing points in Karine district, in Koinadugu district, in Bombali district, in Kono district, in Kailan district, you know, in Kerema district, you know. These are all districts that are connected to Guinea and Liberia, and they have crossing points. So there are a lot happening, you know, areas that are, and not all of these crossing points are even manned by law enforcement officials. So in as much as interventions are happening, but there are still a lot of loopholes that you know, criminals who are exploiting children are making use of.
Okay, now trafficking, Mr. Kimokai, this one is really very serious. You know, when you spoke about the external trafficking, but what is happening with Finn, is even dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, because we see the way now, for example, children who end up in the street or on the street. Some of them, if you check their background, if you interview them, you will come to realize that these are children taken to the urban areas, not only Freetown, Makini, Kenima, Kono, as the case may be. And all of a sudden, you know, those who brought them, some of them they are abandoned, or probably they stole some fish or rice in a pot in a house. That child is driven, he or she is in the street or on the street, and the problem keeps on accumulating. And I know for sure that you've been, as Defense for Children International, I've been seeing your activities across. What do you think can actually be done to kind of address some of these things? I mean, you need a holistic approach, or what do you think? What do you think should happen?
Yeah, we need a holistic approach, and it is not only holistic; it should be sustainable and consistent. As I've been saying, a lot of interventions that have been done to address these issues have been more project-based. And as a country, you know, I work for an NGO, and I know that it is important to have projects to address these issues. And these projects can also create impact for as long as they are there, but they can never be there forever.
Okay.
And sometimes we also start these interventions for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, as the case may be, and then when the funding dries, we stop. And maybe, you know, we start having similar problems. Yeah.
So
government needs to step up.
Okay.
Government needs to step up and do more. We know that government is doing a lot also, and there are a lot of priorities. But when it comes to children, government needs to prioritize more.
Right.
Increase funding. You really ensure that a lot of these interventions that our NGOs are piloting or have been doing over the years are not just abandoned, but government can come in and really ensure that they continue, so that we keep addressing the problems using you know, these evidence-based interventions that have been successful.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. He is Abdul Manaf Kimokai, Executive Director for Defense for Children International. Thank you so much for your updates this morning. And the program you are still watching is Good Morning. So, we shall be joining our outside broadcast team at the Queen Elizabeth II Key, where no less President Van the President of the country, Dr. Julius Matabio, will be visiting. However, I go through the papers quickly, and I start with the Standard Times. And the Standard Times says, University of Sierra Leone impasse. No cost extension request raises new questions. Addressing the gender gap implementation, women environmental program host stakeholders. All of these and more you can see in the Standard Times newspaper. Well, from the Standard Times, I move on to the Roll Call Express, and it says Dr. Owis Kroma calls for stronger environment protection in schools. BRAC Social Welfare Ministry signed MOU to support vulnerable communities. President Liu meets First Bank Group CEO. All of these and more in the Roll Call Express newspaper. From there, I move on to the A to Z newspaper. A to Z newspaper says Sierra Leone strengthens economic diplomacy. Communication Minister reaffirms commitments to stronger digital economy. ACSL unveils new measures to boost electoral participation for PWDs. Well, all these and more you can see in the A to Z newspaper. And my final paper here is the Africa 24. Africa 24 says APC's MPs death shocks Parliament. Government gears to reduce maternal death. ECSL reaffirms commitment to electoral process. Well, that is how we say goodbye. It has been Good Morning Sierra Leone, which came to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation television. And thanks to Mr. Kumokai from Defense for Children International. And today Sierra Leone is going to unveil a new coach, a new stars. The new coach, well, the name of the coach we have to know, but then our team is there to ensure that we bring you the stories or details as they come. Good morning, Sierra Leone returns tomorrow. Many thanks to the entire production team, especially producer Daphne Zainab Kamara. I am Sheku Smile.
Thank you. I run a small logistics company. Every cent counts. I didn't think I needed a fuel card until I got the Cornex fuel card. Now, I track exactly how much fuel my fleet uses, in real time. And when my wife or kids need fuel, no cash, no stress. It's safe, accepted nationwide, and I control how much goes on each card. At the end of the month, I see the savings, real savings. Cornex fuel card. I didn't know I needed it. Now, I can't run my business or family without it. Fuel smart. Live smart. Visit any Cornex filling station to sign off, or any Cornex office to get your card.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available Brown Gold Natural Cocoa Powder, Sunny Gold Brown Sugar, Neat Fufu Flour, Shito, Pisa, and Moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original.